Welcome to Secret Influence TV. I'm Nick Ronald, and on this channel, I interview people who have a story to share or expertise to share. And this channel is all about influencing, and I believe influencing is one of the most important skills in life. If you want to grow your business, you need to influence your audience, to follow your brand, to engage with you, to buy a product or service. And if you've got a career, you need to influence your interviewer to get a job or your manager to get promotion. Life is all about influencing to build relationships, and we influence to share our expertise, to build our authority, and often that is done through sharing our story, and our brand story or our personal story. And I believe everyone has expertise they can share or story to share. So today I'm interviewing Aisha. And Aisha Bijlani, she's a author of several books, including Healthy, Wealthy, Fighting Fit in Jail the Judges, and got a fascinating story to share. So welcome, Aisha, to Secret Influence TV.
Hey.
So just to start, how would you describe yourself?
I think as a double professional whistleblower.
So why did you decide to work in law? What was the reason you went into the law?
To assist from all walks of life to attain justice.
And is there an area of law that you specialise in?
Yes, the chambers I was from, 4 New Square, we're specialists in professional indemnity law and general commercial.
Okay. And what's the thing that you find most rewarding about working in law as a barrister? What's the most rewarding aspect?
I think it is working hard, attaining justice, changing lives of your clients, because it's sometimes litigation is a weight on their heads.
Okay, no, that's good. And moving on to the book, Jail the Judges. So start with, why did you decide to write the book?
I think it was an important story to be told, to whistleblow the abuse of power and institutional corruption in UK's judicial system. So,
I mean, I'm saying in an incredible, story that you share within the book. What was it a big decision to write the book? Was it something you knew you had to do? Was it sort of a big, and you have no doubts, or was it sort of a big decision to because almost I guess you're going to the public, and when you really write a book, it's another way of going, sharing a message to a wider audience.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of talk about it. There were several potential co-authors. I was persuaded that it was a story that must be told. Racism, perjury in my chambers, being buried by the court system. And I think it is important to be a whistleblower at times, and it sometimes just falls into your lap. I don't think anyone chooses to be a whistleblower, but I think the opportunity is there, and you do have a story to tell. I think it's important to put it out there and let people make up their own minds. Yes. So my chambers are 4 New Square in London, and the courts have already found that they are racist and that they've breached the bar's equality code for fair allocation of work.
Okay.
But their perjury, their concealment has been buried by the courts, and it has been said by experts it's because of institutional racism. Right. And my chambers, who are very powerful, their influence over the court system, the media, the establishment, and it's been assessed that there's an establishment stitch-up against me.
And when you wrote the book, was it hard to get it published? I mean, I know you sort of self-published on Amazon. Was that because it was the nature of the book? It would have been hard to publish it in other channels.
Yeah, I was in talks with various publishers, and several were keen to publish it, but in the end, I went with Amazon for various reasons, and I've published a second book as well, both during lockdown in 2020.
Okay.
And I think there was a little bit of resistance towards public relations because some were a little bit concerned about the inflammatory nature of the whistleblowing elements of the book.
Do you think people who read the book will be shocked by what's in it, or do you think people are aware? Think people are aware of these issues, or do you think actually it's a shock for a lot of people when they read this book? Do you think it's going to be new to people that this sort of thing goes on? Do you think it's going to shock people to realize that it's so widespread?
These people who've read it for the first time are massively. Yes, absolutely. That this institutional racism and institutional corruption amongst the judicial system is so widespread, which is obviously of concern.
And I mean, you personally, did the whole experience, did it affect your confidence in the wider judicial system in the UK? Did it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's had a negative effect on a lot of people who use the court system in the UK, which is actually widely regarded amongst all Commonwealth institutions. And I believe that nobody credible should and does have real confidence in the UK's judicial system. I mean, I'm just going to quote from what a top lawyer has assessed, that lawyers are just being exploited to deceive the public into believing that their courts dispense true justice at all times. But they don't, when those appearing in their courts are at odds with the will of the deep state dictatorship your chambers is presumably part of, given that their courts have bent over backwards to protect them from the teeth of real justice. So very powerful statement from a top lawyer. Very
incredibly. What would you, I mean, obviously this sort of thing where it's deeply, so sort of ingrained in that sense, it needs to really have widespread change, I guess. But what would you most like to see changed or improved in these institutions?
Well, I have a few suggestions. Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 I'll just put forward there. Firstly, I think there should be regulation by top university educated professionals of the highest caliber, instead of what exists at the moment, which is largely uneducated, inept non-lawyers who are actually regulating judges and lawyers, which is a shock to many. The non-lawyers are regulating judges and lawyers in the UK. And these include institutions like the Judicial Ombudsman, the Legal Ombudsman, the Solicitors Regulation Authority, the Bar Standards Board, the Financial Ombudsman. The second suggestion I have for improvement is there must be accountability at the levels and application of the sacrosanct principle that nobody is above the law, whoever they are. And that must apply in any credible country or institution. And thirdly, and this is something that's obviously personal to me as far as this book's concerned, is that there must be imprisonment of all those who have committed indictable crimes, whoever they are. So, for example, in my case, that would include Lord Justices Stuart Smith, Sue Carr, Lord Justice, and all other heads of my chambers at 4 New Square who are guilty of concealing key evidence to pervert the course of justice, and Lord Justice Stuart Smith's perjury on key issues.
Okay. What are you proud? I mean, obviously, whistleblower. It's obviously a term, describe what process you took to make this public. But are you proud to be called a whistleblower?
Yeah, I think it takes courage to whistleblow, and it often benefits so many. especially in the long term. And I think it is a role that comes at a personal sacrifice, and of personal cost, but hopefully is for the greater good.
Okay, and do you think? Those touched on today, but do you think corruption is a problem in British society? Because I know you've also mentioned about your chambers and whether it's institutional. Do you think it's a problem in British society? Is it institutional? Is not just sort of isolated cases, but it is an institutional problem in our society?
I think, unfortunately, it is so. I think if you go against the will of what those in power want to happen, then it is widespread, right from the inherently racist police at certain levels,
Right.
to those who are very wealthy, powerful, highly educated, including so-called top judges in higher office. And I think that's the concern, how actual widespread application it is. If you touch on their sore feet, they're out to get you.
And how? It's a big problem with it's a complex problem. But how do we start addressing this issue? How do we?
Well, a couple of suggestions would be for there to be a zero tolerance to racism and corruption and abuse of power, whoever you are. And a second suggestion might be for there to be effective regulation by, for example, ex-judges of the Supreme Court, such as Lady Hare, Lord Sumption, and others of that ilk.
Right. So you've got your book's been out for a while. Would you consider writing another book in the future? What's the experience of writing a book? Is it something that you enjoy doing?
Yeah, it is. But I'm pleased to say that yes, because film and media rights are under negotiation as we speak. So
great. Fantastic. That's exciting. What would you say is your greatest achievement?
Well, I've thought about this, and I think really using my skill set to publish 2 books during the lockdown on Amazon. The first is The Jail the Judges, which we've just gone through, which blows open the reality of discrimination and corruption at UK's bar and judicial system. And the second book, Healthy, Wealthy and Fighting Fit, some tips to boost immunity and one's health during this COVID-19 pandemic. So I do believe publishing those books during a lockdown is my greatest achievement, because it combines both my legal career and my medical career at a time when perhaps we have more time on our hands.
Two very different books there, yeah. But so obviously reflecting, like you say, two different big aspects of your life, the medical and the legal. What inspires you? Sorry, Karen.
I just saying I regard them as my legacy, my medical and my legal careers, giving the information out there.
No, I definitely can see that. I always say that everyone has some expertise in something, and that should be this whole legacy. That's to share that expertise and
yeah.
This is what I do is I interview people so people could share some of their expertise or their story. What would you say?
Positive book.
Who or what inspires you in life?
Sorry, I missed that question.
Who inspires you in life?
Yeah, I think for media to be truthful, objective, and regulated by professionals of the highest caliber, instead of inept, perhaps voluntary organizations like IPSO, which is the Independent Press Standards Organization, And secondly, for governments to aim for equality for all. In fact, for the world to aim for equality for all, and perhaps to encourage kindness, especially when those require to be kind to those who do so.
Okay, so so just to sort of follow on from that, I mean, so I talk a lot about influence, and I'm a copywriter, and I help people write to influence. I think it's a very powerful thing to be able to influence positively. So what do you think is the best way to positively influence others? So, I mean, obviously you've written a book. That's one way to influence people, by sharing your story. What do you think is the best way? You said for the media to be, it's obviously one way to change sort of the media. Yeah, what do you think is the best way to positively influence others?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is important for the media who are influential to be properly regulated.
Right.
And
okay.
The Levinson inquiry suggested that they should be externally regulated, but it hasn't actually happened yet.
Sure.
And I think it's important for all sectors of society to, to really promote equality for all, and to call out injustices and wrongs when they see it. And when people at the top, people who have nothing to gain, call out injustices and wrongs, I think that it does have an important influence in all aspects of society. And I think I respect the people who do go out of their way to use their skill set and their positions to influence where there is a need to influence.
Do you think that we have different institutions, obviously political, and we have legal, and do you think that there can be a challenge when sometimes they overlap, where they should be a bit more, separate? So, if there's sometimes if politics lapse into the way legal institutions are set up and run, for example, or do you think that's something that needs to be addressed, the overlapping of different institutions?
Yeah, I think that's a big question. I haven't really thought about that. But yes, I'm sure there is news to explore that.
Okay, and just do you put some more personally, what does success mean to you?
I think really to leave a legacy of positive change, however small that change may be perceived to be. I mean, for example, I think it would be great if everyone always tried to leave the world a better place by making some contribution using their skill set, perhaps by whistleblowing or calling out injustices and wrongs, or assisting people on an everyday basis in improving their lives. I think it is important to try and do our bits to improve society. And I'd like to think we all have something to contribute positively to the world.
And I guess as I think of leading by example, sometimes in life being set a good example in role model. And I guess some of the things you've done to, by whistleblowing, you stood up for what you believe in, set that standard, and you set the example by saying, I believe strongly that this needs to be raised, this issue, and I think that's something that's very, very important on an individual level. That for people to do that, and that's clearly something you've done. That was my questions, Aisha. Is there anything else you want to share? Do you have any big plans? You said you've written a couple of books, in lockdown, possibly a film, in the pipeline. Do you have any other big plans, or anything else you'd like to share with my audience?
I'd love people shared this story and got it wider coverage, because I think it's a very important story that Lord Justice Stuart Smith has committed perjury. And so far, that truth has been buried, whereas he should be in prison. So I would welcome people's assistance to spread the story further. And so I thank you for having me on your channel, which hopefully starts the ball rolling and getting wider coverage of this important whistleblowing story.
Well, thank you for your time, Aisha. I mean, genuinely, it was really good to talk to you. And a fascinating story. I've just started reading your book, and I mean,
thank you.
It's incredible. I think that you see these things sometimes in the media, but actually meet someone who's been involved in something like this, and actually personally it's great to have that. So thank you for your time, and yes, anyone who is watching this, obviously do subscribe to my channel for more interviews with influencers and other people who have powerful stories to share expertise. Both of Aisha's books are available on Amazon. From Sickens TV, Nick Ronald, and again, thank you, Aisha. And yeah, do keep me updated with the movie if as that progresses.